Hello everyone. Before I begin, I'd like to express my gratefulness towards NWRA team for organizing this conference and providing us with an opportunity to present ourselves and our research. My name is Binita Shrestha. I am a second year graduate student at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. My major is water resource engineering. I belong to a small but a beautiful nation called Nepal. A little bit more about myself. I like hiking and reading novels. In the future, I aspire to be a professional water resource engineer and dedicate my effort towards solving world water crisis. Today in this conference, I'm presenting a poster titled System Dynamics Approach to Assess the Socioeconomic Benefit of Rehabilitation of Water Supply and Sewerage Network in Sahiwal City. Hello again everyone. The title of my poster presentation is System Dynamics Approach to Assess the Socioeconomic Benefit of Rehabilitation of Water Supply and Sewerage Network in Sahiwal City. I'd like to begin my presentation by stating the incentive of this study, as the livability of the city is determined by the services available in it, such as drinking water supply, wastewater management, solid waste management, transportation, etc. Such practices also impact the health and productivity of its citizen. Especially in developing countries, once the services are established, they are hardly maintained in the following years, because of which deterioration occurs in the service. For example, intrusion of sewage water in the water supply network. Therefore, rehabilitation must be emphasized by the government. Also, including more and more people in the municipal network is driven by financial incentive. Therefore, our study proposes to develop a system dynamics model to assess whether such rehabilitation proposed in the city of Sahiwal is beneficial for the city. If so, then in what ways it is beneficial and how much benefits can it bring about in the city. We also test few policies to see which works best to maintain a sustainable system in the city. In developing countries, cities are growing with the inflows of population, but the challenge is to maintain a sustainable system. We propose the following research questions in this study. So, a rehabilitation project was proposed in the city of Sahiwal in 2015, and a pre-feasibility report was published. They claim to fulfill the water demand of the people in the city for 2035. So through this study, we will see if they are able to fulfill their claim in 2035. The second question is, after the implementation of the project, will the revenue generated from the project be able to financially sustain the system? The third question is to see how much sewage and water annual tariff must be increased in order to financially sustain the system in absence of the rehabilitation project. And the fourth question is related to the tangible benefits that the project report claims uh, to be bring about in the city. And such tangible benefits include health cost saving, productivity improvement, and under 5 mortality reduction. And through this study, we will be answering how much of such tangible benefits can be expected from the investment of the project. For this, we have chosen one of the growing cities of Pakistan named Sahiwal City. It is the administrative center of Sahiwal district as well as 21st largest city in the country. It is surrounded by fertile agricultural land and it lies about 18 miles from the left bank of river Karravi. It is also one of the 11 cities surveyed by the Punjab Cities Improvement Investment Program, making it rich in datasets. All the datasets that have been used in order to develop a system dynamics model in this study are derived from the pre-feasibility report that was published by the Urban Unit Pakistan in 2015 for this particular city, that is Sahiwal City. Now let me move towards the methodology section. It can be further subdivided into 4 portions: data collection, model preparation, validation, and scenario simulation. I have already mentioned that all the data were collected from the pre-feasibility report, and the model was system dynamics model was prepared in Stella software, and we have used 4 elements for validation. Those are household, a population, demand, and footprint projected by the report, and versus simulated by our model. And there will be few scenarios or policies that will be simulated by the model. The model is uh, con- the model consists of five sectors. The first one being population and household. The population is impacted by the birth rate, death rate, and migration, as well as the under five mortality saved by the um, quality and reliability improvement of the project. So, as the population grows in the city, to accommodate the increasing population, more households are added in the system, and those total household as a stock can be subdivided into legal water connection, illegal water connection, and legal sewerage connection. The second sector is water supply and demand. The water demand is the summation of per capita domestic, commercial, industrial, and institution demand along with the per capita water loss in the network. As for the supply, it depends on the hours of pumping and the capacity of the tube wells that that can extract water from the groundwater and be stored in the overhead reservoir, which are distributed throughout the city. And the actual supply to the city is the minimum of total demand and the supply that is contained in the network. The third sector is urban footprint. So as the new households are added in the city, they convert some of the natural land cover into impervious or built up land cover, and that is accounted in the urban footprint stock. The fourth and the most important sector is the economic analysis. Here are three pieces in this sector. The first one is the annual benefits, the second is annual expenditure, and the third is net present value analysis. The annual benefits includes the revenue and one-time connection fees, and the tangible benefits, that is savings from the health cost, the productivity improvement, and under 5 mortality rate in terms of value per statistical life are also included in presence of the project. As for the expenditure, it consists of the maintenance cost of the water supply and sewerage pipeline network and the capital investment when there is project. Um, to see whether the project implementation is able to bring about economic benefits in the city, we use net present value analysis. So through this net present value analysis, if we um, get the sum of the invested amount as negative, when we convert that amount into present value, then we can conclude that the project is not able to financially benefit the city. And if the value is positive, then we can conclude that the project can financially benefit the city. The final and the fifth sector of the model is willingness to connect in the municipal network. So as the rehabilitation project begins, it will improve the quality and the reliability uh, of the network. So quality is in terms of the status of the pipeline network, which is improved by the rehabilitation program, and the reliability is the function of the total amount of time that the water can be stored in the overhead reservoir. And the ideal time for the storage in the reservoir is 3 hours. That is, if the reservoir is filled once, then it must be able to fulfill the 3-hour water demand of the city. And the summation of quality and reliability gives us the willingness of people to connect in the network. As the willingness increases, more people will join the legal municipal water network, and they will pay the revenues on time, and there will be a lot more one-time connection fees, which will economically benefit the system. The following are the results of this study. So for validation, I have already mentioned we used household, population, demand, and footprint projected by the pre-feasibility report. In terms of household and water demand, our model simulated negative 5.5%, model simulated at the our model simulated 5.5% lesser value than the predicted by the pre-feasibility report. For population, the R square value of the predicted population of 2035 through 2015, and our simulated value has an R square value of 0.997. As for urban footprint, our model simulated 1% greater footprint area than the predicted by the pre-feasibility report. In overall, our model performed satisfactory to simulate the further scenarios. So the figure 2 and 3 are the comparison of total supply and surface in the city when there is project and when there is no project. So the turquoise line determines the scenario in the presence of project, and the pink colored line determines the scenario in absence of the project. It is apparent that the total supply is significantly higher in presence of the project. Similarly, in terms of surface, the surface is drastically declining throughout the project period, and then it gradually starts to increase. However, at the end of 2035, the surface is much controlled when there is project than in absence of project. Similarly, figure 4 and 5 compares the total water demand and willingness for connection in the network when there is project and when there is project and when there is no project implementation. We can see that in figure 4, as the total water loss in the network is reduced when the rehabilitation begins in the city, the total water demand is slightly lesser in the end of 2035 in comparison to the baseline scenario. As for the willingness of connection, the pink colored line is gradually declining throughout the year of simulation, whereas the willingness for connection increases to as high as 1. That is, all of the household, 100% of the household in the city are willing to connect to the network. As the project period ends and there is no more rehabilitation going on the system, the willingness for connection again starts to gradually decline. In figure 6, we can see that for the baseline scenarios, a certain amount of subsidies is always required throughout the simulation period. That is depicted by the green colored line. But as we increase the sewage and water annual tariffs, the subsidies remains as 0. So for that, we'll have to increase the annual water and sewage tariff by as much as $25 from $4 in order to maintain the system financially stable. The remaining 3 graphs, that is figure 7 through figure 9, are the depiction of the policies that we tested. So the first policy, in the first policy, we reduced the per capita water demand of the people from 33 gallon per capita per day by 8%. And in absence of that reduction policy, we can see that certain surfaces will be lingering in 2035. But as we implemented the policies, we cannot see any surfaces. So the value of surface less than 0 means that there will be surplus of water. So there will be surface only when the value or the dotted line was supposed to be greater than 0. And the figure 8 is the depiction of policy number 2, that is per capita water loss reduction in the network. We can see that we may not be able to eliminate the surface, but we can see that the surface is slightly controlled. That is given by the dark blue colored line. In the final figure, that is figure 9, we have tested a combination of both the policies, that is reduction in per capita water demand as well as reduction in per capita water loss in the network. So by reducing the demand by 29% and the per capita water loss in the network by 30%, we conclude that we can sustain the system through 2050, not only 2035, but can be sustained through 2050, and that is in absence of any additional infrastructure and financial investment in the project. Since the discussion and the conclusion section has been covered by my video, I'm gonna stop my video here and continue my presentation. So from the result, we can discuss that instead of solely investing in supply-driven system, that is only to fulfill the increasing demand, we should emphasize more on the demand management practices. So in this pre-feasibility report, one of the limitations was they did not um, include the second point in the introduction, that is, improvement in lifestyle and supply of water will increase the water uses of the people as well. So typically when there is high quality and reliable service, then the people will tend to will tend to use more than 33 gallon per capita per day water volume, because of which this rehabilitation proposed 2035 demand may not be fulfilled. And the second point of discussion is that as the quality and the reliability of the service improves in the city, the people will be more willing to pay the fee rises for the quality and service that they are receiving from the municipality. In conclusion, we have aimed to answer the 4 research questions that I have already mentioned in my presentation at the beginning. So to answer the first question, that is, how long will the rehabilitation be able to fulfill the demand of the city? The answer is the demand will be fulfilled till 2031, not 2035, as the increase in per capita demand has not been addressed in the pre-feasibility report design. To answer second question, that is, will the revenue generated after the project implementation financially sustain the system? The answer is yes. As more number of households are willing to connect in the municipal network, more revenue and more one-time fees are generated, and they will also pay the fees on time, and this will keep the system financially sustainable. And the third question was how much water and sewage tariff must be increased to sustain the system financially stable or financially sustainable without the project implementation. And the answer is the sewage and water tariff must be increased by at least $25 and $27 respectively. And both of their fees were about $4 respectively. And the fourth question was how much tangible benefits can be expected from the investment. So, as the quality of the the drinking water improves in the city, less people will be prone to waterborne disease, especially the children of age under 5. So, as a result of this project implementation, our model gives us a result that about 1447 under 5 lives or children will be saved. And in terms of health cost, we can save as much as 44.3 million US dollars. And in terms of productivity improvement, so this is basically as people are more healthy, they will take as less sick leaves as possible, due to which they will be economically benefited. And as a result, 76.5 million US dollars can be generated from the productivity improvement of the people. So this is the end of my presentation. Please feel free to give me any feedbacks, comments, and questions. Thank you for listening.